What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Creative Smoothie, transmitting live from Chicago, Illinois, from the comfort of my room. I have to say, for those of you who have followed this podcast since, the times of whatever the fuck this other podcast that I started, you remember the fact that I had to use to record everything in my living room in the past apartment, making sure that nobody entered the route from the kitchen to the bedroom. So for the entire duration of a podcast, I wouldn't have anybody walk behind me. And while that was pretty fun to do for an entire year, I'm really happy that now I got the chance to transmit from this room. Maybe I'll send a picture. I'll post a picture up once. But it's kind of like a closed office with an incredible view over Lake Michigan. Right now I have the curtains closed, but it is awesome to be over here today. Happy 2022 once more. It is Friday today, if I'm not wrong. I think today's episode is going to come out on Friday. And I had something pretty cool and I think very important that I wanted to talk to you about. And that is systems. Okay, but before I jump into the topic that we have today, I just wanted to remind you that the podcast is changing a little bit. Like I've said in my previous episode called What's Up, if you want to go listen to that real quick. But basically what we're going to do is have shorter episodes that go into more detail. It's not so much like a conversation or an interview. Most of the time it's going to be more so like something that I have on my mind, something that I'm thinking about today, something that I've learned or something that I've done in my business that I want to bring to you guys as a learning insight. And because of that, I'm also not relying a lot on any advertising or any sort of paid promotion. I want this to be organic. I want this to reach the people that truly need it. And I want this to be a tool that is actually going to be used and not just some podcast that racks up numbers for no reason. Okay. So with that being said, I am never going to charge you for any of the content you listen here. I am never going to put any ads that are going to pay for the content that you see in here. And the only thing I ask of you, just like Andy Frizella asks of his followers in his podcast, Real as Fuck, is to share this podcast if you found anything valuable, anything funny, anything that you took away from here. Just share it with your friends. You don't even have to share it on Facebook. You can just, these things come up in conversation. You're like, oh, what podcasts are you listening to? Or what shows are you watching? If you're a coach or somebody that's a freelancer or somebody trying to build your business and you find value in this podcast, then please go ahead and share it with your friends. You don't even know how much more valuable that is to me than, just a simple other view or a comment or something fake that does not really represent the fact that I've given you any value. Okay, so if I've given you something, share it. If I haven't yet, then wait for that. But anyways, I wanted to just introduce that little piece of information at the beginning. Creative Smoothie is changing. We're going to have it twice a week. It's going to be shorter. We're still going to have interviews, but less of them. So with that, I wanted to jump in straight. It's been 3 minutes of introduction. I wanted to jump into the topic that I wanted to talk about today, which is systems. Now, in general, for human beings, systems are crucial. It's important to recognize them. It's important to create them. It's important to optimize systems. And I'll get into it and as to why we have to create these systems, optimize them, recognize them. But I want to say that my approach today is not only systems in life, but systems in business, systems in creativity. Like the creative system, the creative process in of itself is some sort of system. And it's very important to recognize that systems are not just something that are used at a big scale with governments, with organizations, with with programs. It's something that we use on a daily basis, right? So systems, why are they so important? Before I explain why systems are so important, I want to make sure that we all got the same understanding of what a system is, okay? And of course, if you Google the definition of a system, it's obviously going to tell you that it's a group of interconnected elements that act according to a single rule. And basically, they form a whole functional unit. So we have a bunch of different branches working under the same universal law, right? So there's a few rules to the system that need to apply for every single branch, and they all work towards the same goal, right? So they're unified. And that is a very interesting, very cool, very technical. But what it is basically a set of different elements within a bigger event that work together for that event or for that cause to become a reality. So you could think of systems as our digestive system, our in our bodies, for example, our financial system in the world, our health system, the way when you go to a doctor, the protocols that happen when you're there, everything that has a lot of different elements in it has a lot of complexity, and complex systems are the holy grail of system nowadays. But I don't want to go too deep into that. I want to tell you why they're important for you as a coach, as a freelancer, as somebody who's creative, somebody who's just selling their own services. So it's no wonder that we are creatures of habit, okay? We do stuff many times not even thinking about it, because our brain was designed in such a way where once it has consciously done a few things over the time, it then turns those things into like an automated subconscious task. So our habits, from good to bad ones, depend on this mechanism. And it can sound like a bad mechanism, right? Like our brain is just trying to simplify everything and make us lazy. But that's not it. It's trying to save enough energy so that it can spend said energy on the tasks that are imminent, that are urgent, and that may pose a threat to your life. That's how it works. And I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or a neurologist, so please go and study that on your own deeper. I'm here to tell you how you can start out with systems and how they're going to improve your life. So since we know that we're a creature of habit, humans like to repeat stuff even when we're not aware of it, it is very important to understand that these habits work as a part of a system. And the systems that we put in place, or the habits or the routines that we put in place, are directly correlated with our success later on. Okay? When you're setting up a system, you're setting up a set of rules, a set of functions that you're going to run tasks, energy, effort, emotions through, with the purpose of creating something else. So if you're going to create a course, or if you're going to create some sort of online group coaching, or whatever it is, there's certain tasks that you got to repeat before you can arrive at that end product. And if you have correct systems in place, then you will not have to decide what to do at each step of the way. Okay? So there's 3 parts to systems that I wanted to bring to you today. The first one's recognizing patterns and identifying them. The second one is creating systems. And the third one is optimizing systems. Okay? So first of all, recognizing systems. All that it is, it's basically, and I have it written down here so I don't forget it, basically identifying patterns. That's all recognizing systems is. Identifying patterns. So you can look at your daily habits and you can become aware of repeated tasks that you do every single day. And sometimes this is an exercise on becoming more conscious. Sometimes you don't know, you're not aware of all the systems that you're repeating every day of your habits. Like, for example, some people wake up and without even knowing they have a glass of water. If you have a glass of water for 20 years, every time you wake up, it kind of becomes unconscious, right? You don't even know why you're doing it anymore at some point. There's other habits like negative habits, or habits that kind of cause you to, just plain straight out, not positive habits. For example, drinking when something's hard. Like, for example, you have a long day and you have a glass of wine, and then tomorrow you have a long day again, and you're thinking, well, I'll just have another glass of wine. And soon enough, you have a glass of wine every evening, and it's become something normal, and you don't remember a time when you didn't have a glass of wine before. But it's not only bad and good, and I don't see habits as good or bad, by the way. I just see them as actions that are going to lead you in a certain direction. So if you become addicted to alcohol or drugs, your sudden system is pointing somewhere else. If you're getting healthy, if you're starting losing weight, if you're starting running more, then your systems are pointing you somewhere else. So become aware of all those little tasks throughout the day, or actions or little gestures that you do that have become automated already. Because guess what? Systems sometimes don't need your conscious attention for them to be created. That's the power of habit, that we do not consciously create them. We have to become conscious about them in order to change them, but we do not consciously create habits. Not all the time, at least. So Once you become aware of those, you have to observe the role that they play in your life and business. What do these systems provide for you? Are they good or are they bad? And I know I said that there's no good or bad, but the outcomes that they produce are either related to the goals that you have or they're not related to goals that you have, and they're pulling you back. So after you've identified the patterns that you have throughout your day, and it can be patterns as an individual, patterns in relationships, then you have to identify what effect those systems have already on you. Like, what result are you of? Like, what are you the result of? What systems have gotten you to the place where you are today? And if systems in your emotional or relationship life are getting you the results that you want, then incredible. If the systems in your career, in your business, in your, in your social environments are enabling you to pursue the stuff that you want to pursue, then you're doing fine. But there are some systems that are sabotaging us for sure. And those self-sabotage systems are oftentimes the systems that we should focus on first. And that brings me to the second part, which is creating, right? So based on the systems that you already have, you might want different results. Okay? If you have identified that you want to lose weight and become more fit, but you look at the systems that you have and you see that you eat sugar 3 times a day, and that's an unconscious system that's been set up in your life because of repeated action, then you're most likely going to understand that you're not going to lose weight. So you have to be like, okay, well, this is the system that I want to change, because the output of the system is the output that I need to change, right? So that's why it's important to understand how the systems are affecting you, because sometimes you might want to lose weight or gain weight or start running, but you don't understand the mechanism and the systems behind that decision, and the systems that are going to help that decision and the systems that are not going to help that decision from happening. So based on those systems that you've identified, choose the outcomes that you want to get to, and then select those systems that you have to change in order to get to the goal that you wanted to get at, right? And you should create a system only if you want to automate a certain part of your business, a certain part of your life, a certain part of your relationship. Because a system, what it does is it reduces decision making, it reduces friction and stopping points. The bottlenecking of it is where a system works well, or a series of tasks work really well, but when it gets to a certain point, it kind of gets stuck, kind of like a bad employee in an agency. Like, everybody can be working really well, but there's a certain part of the system that's not working fine. That's a bottleneck. So you have to understand how these systems are going to automate all those tasks. Like, if you want to work out, become more healthy, and lose weight, there's certain systems that you can put into place of repeated tasks, repeated habits, repeated actions, that once you repeat for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, you're not going to have to wake up and be like, oh, what was I going to do today? No, you already know today is Monday. Today you got to work out at 7:30, and then you're going to eat the chicken and the rice, and then you're going to go for a run or whatever it is. You already know the stuff that's coming up in the system, right? So if you understand the system, you understand what steps you go through, you understand what steps you need to tweak and what steps you need to edit in order to get to where you want to go. The good thing about systems is you run through them repeatedly. Like, a day can be a system. My days are a system. And so if today I can realize that my system is not optimized in the areas that I want it to be optimized, for example, my rest period, or my resting time is getting too long because I'm losing time on the phone, then what you can do is be like, okay, this system is working well, but if I change this one little thing, it's going to optimize the output of my day. Okay? So this is how I think about it, guys. This is how I think about systems, and there's a bunch of benefits to it. One, you don't have to think about every single decision every time. Trust me, deciding what to do every day, the day of, when you wake up, burns so much decision-making energy. And you hear all the CEOs, they take about 3 to 4 decisions a day. That's because after that, your capacity of judgment, because we use judgment when we make a decision, your capacity to judge decreases, And the amount of energy that you've put into those decisions decreases with each decision that you make. So if you gotta wake up and you wanna, again, start a healthy habit, and you have to figure out what workout you're gonna have that day, what you're gonna eat, and everything else, and you don't have it prepared already, well, that's already an hour and a half wasted on planning to perform the habit that you wanted to perform, or the system you wanted to perform. So that's not great. So you want to have a system that you already know that Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays you eat certain things, and you train certain exercises, and you talk to certain people, and you work on certain projects, and you don't work on other projects. So my main benefit that I'm taking away is the fact that it reduces decision making, and it increases optimization of everything. Once you can repeat a task over and over and understand the output that it produces, you understand whether or not that output is what you want it to be. It's as simple as, are the repeated habits that you carry out throughout your month getting you the money that you want to, the relationships that you want to, the recognition that you want to from yourself or from others? Are they obtaining you the things that you want to obtain? And if the answer is yes, then great. And if the answer is no, then you gotta optimize the system. But because you repeatedly go through it, you understand the tasks that work and do not work. It's kind of like testing. Every time you run through a system, you are basically testing if that system is still good or not, right? There's many systems that are outdated, and some systems are new and they're better because people have run through the old system so many times that they've identified a new way of doing things. Now, I don't know if this is all sounding like too theoretical, too blah blah. I really don't know, but I really wanted to get here on the podcast today and explain to you that, dude, the power of systems for me, especially when it comes to habits and when it comes to working and when it comes to staying down and being creative. Being creative is a system, man. It's a system. It's a system of consumption and creation, what you put in and what goes out, input and output. And maybe I have this mathematical way of seeing things sometimes, although I'm more creative brain than everything. It helps me, give me some structure. And I think that that's what a lot of creatives, just like me, lack many times, which is a certain structure. And we hear that every day, but we don't know what structure means. And all that structure means is finding the correct systems and optimizing them so that the repeated tasks that we perform every day, every hour, every minute can lead us to the output or the benefit or the result that we want to achieve. That's it. This is the importance of recognizing, creating, and optimizing systems. I think that you can get a lot from this. Start applying your own systems. Start looking for the daily tasks that you repeat every day and become aware of what results those systems give you. That's where I would say you could start. I don't want to keep you guys for too long. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please share it with your friends. If you want, you can rate this podcast on whatever platform you are, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. Leave a good or bad review. Leave an honest review. I want to hear your thoughts. I don't want to listen to myself talking to a microphone. I want to really share valuable information with you guys. So please let me know what you'd like to hear more about. If you're a coach, a business coach, a life management coach, a fitness coach, I'd like to hear more from you because you are the target listener that I'm trying to help with all of these tips. So if you want anything else in this podcast, please reach out to me on my social media and connect with me. I'm down to talk about whatever it is. If you want to DM me, and let's start a conversation, okay? Guys, I'll see you on the next Creative Smoothie. I'm so excited to be back. Have a great rest of your day. Go get whatever you're going after, and peace.